of TabiaTalks. I'm so glad you're here. What we're going to talk about today is, I'm just playing. What we're going to talk about is my melanated people, my beautiful browns. I'm talking about black people or African Americans or Africans, whatever you would like to call us. Anywho, my views on racial relations is a little bit controversial, so don't get offended, but hear me out. So, just like all the rest of my episodes, I'm going to tell you how this episode was inspired. And it was inspired by several events that I've seen, racial things that have happened online and on the news and everywhere. Seems like it's just flooding our timeline and our lives nowadays. Anyway, back in the day, I was a part of this group and we used to come together and debate ideas because we're kind of nerds. But whatever. So one of my topics was people should be allowed to discriminate if they want to. And at that time, it was something going on in the news with like Barney's or Abercrombie & Fitch, one of them people, some high end, I don't know. And they didn't want black people to shop at their store, or they were following black people, something with black people and not wanting them there or buying stuff, whatever, same old stuff. Anyway, so I was really thinking about it, and I believe that if you're a white company, or if I'm an Asian company, I'm a Polynesian company, I should be able to say, I don't want black people at my store. I don't want white people at my store. I don't want handicapped people at my store. I should be able to say that because it's a business that I built. Now I know that sounds weird, but I feel like they should have that right. And I feel like it's beneficial if you really think about it. Do you really want to support a store that secretly doesn't want you to shop there? I know I don't. I think that if we could really just show our prejudices up front, we could get rid of this whole illusion. I think if we allow people the space to discriminate, they will automatically see the error of their ways. They will look at themselves and be like, hey, you know what, that is kind of stupid. But I know I wouldn't want to go to Barney's if they actually up front said, I don't want black people to show up at my store. You have the right, you build that store up from the ground up, and guess what, we won't be supporting it. And that's fine. I learn as I get older to allow people the space to do whatever they feel like is right. Now, as long as you're not hurting anybody or causing any harm, then I say, hey, it's your world. Look at all the space it opens up for us to be able to have our own stores and our own businesses where we don't have to worry about if we're supposed to shop there or not, or even patronizing other businesses that welcome us. They could say that freely, like we welcome all people. And I'm pretty sure the people who don't want black people or whoever to shop there will look at that as like, hey, you know what, that's pretty stupid what I'm doing. So there's no need to take offense when somebody doesn't want to shop in your store. Just be like, oh, okay, that's fine, you don't want money. That's totally fine with me. I could just go somewhere else. My thing is, people are going to do it anyway. You can either do it in secret or you can either do it in public. I prefer public, and I am a big proponent of unconditional love. That is my goal in life. And when you allow people the space to do whatever they want, even something as stupid as that, then you can really accept people for who they are. And when you unconditionally love others, you automatically unconditionally love yourself. On to my next point. I was at a gathering with my colleagues and we got into a debate about HBCUs versus PWIs. And you know, the obvious points were made from the PWIs like, oh, do you feel like you were challenged enough? Or do you feel like you were just in high school again? Or you didn't really get to experience other cultures? And the same points were made from the HBCU side of we got to know ourselves and discover all the different facets of African culture and things like that. And then I started talking about black businesses because some of the people there didn't even really consider working for a black business after they graduated. And I thought it would be a good idea to know some black businesses or to start some. A comment was made that I was racist because of that, like, oh, should we just all have separate businesses or things like that? You're just as racist as white people. I was taken aback by this comment because I've heard it several times, and just because you're pro-black or pro-African doesn't mean you're anti anything else. They're not synonymous. I believe, just like in a relationship, you have to become whole before you can come into a relationship for it to be healthy. So for black people being in this white dominated society, I don't feel like we have become whole on our own in order to properly integrate with white culture or white businesses or any other culture, Chinese, Polynesian, Canadian, whatever. We haven't cleaned our own house before we start cleaning other people's house. Over the years, I have learned a lot of things about self. And so I try to apply what I learned about self to my bigger self, which is the human race. I understand that totally, but to more of my people, black people. And what I realized, like one of the most valuable things I've learned, and this is pretty recent, is if it exists inside of you, no, if it exists outside of you, it also exists inside of you. And so I would say that we are not taking enough time to look at ourselves in this situation. What do we feel about ourselves? Like, if I'm pulled over at some time of night or whatever, I'm gonna automatically assume it's because I'm black. It's not even any question. Like, in my eyes, my blackness is more relevant than just my humanness. We do that to ourselves. And you may say we've been conditioned that way because we're in a white society. But every time, you always decide. You always decide yourself. For example, all of these campaigns to instill beauty in black women and try to fight all the white supremacy and the white standard of beauty. It's like, trust me, I get it. I'm not against it at all. But at the same time, even if some white lady came in your house every day and told your daughter white is right, blonde hair is the way, straight hair is the way, I don't know what's going on in your head, but you need to change that. This is beautiful, and show her 100 pictures a day. It is still your daughter's choice to believe it or not. And in that scenario, say that same little girl, that happened in her community, all of her aunts, her mother, her sister, her neighbors, her teachers, they wore their hair natural. They didn't care about what they saw on TV. I think that would have more of an impact on her than that white lady. She'd be like, oh, okay, this white lady gotta come today. No matter what is put in front of us, we always have the choice to accept it or not. I think our problem is, at a whole, is we think that white people or any other group of people have to cooperate with us in order for us to obtain freedom. They don't need to cooperate at all. Even if they had us in chains, that might seem hard to believe, but even if they had us in chains, we can believe in the slavery or the confinement if we want to. But we have the choice to not believe it as well. I think we need to, just like with me, I try to sit myself down in quiet places and reflect on, how do I contribute? What am I doing to myself? And I think as a whole, we need to do that. You know, and it's so empowering. I'm not one of those people like, y'all did it to y'all, y'all just lazy, blah, blah, blah. I'm not one of those kind of people. But just empower, how you'll find your power there. That all this stuff, yes, it's unfortunate. People have died that shouldn't have died. But it's a power in that they have nothing to do with my freedom. They have nothing to do with my self-esteem. Even if they tell me otherwise every day. But just ask yourself, do you judge another black person when you see them? Until the answer is no, you cannot get mad at anybody else for judging you. And you're only witnessing it because it's in here first. And that might be a hard pill to swallow, but it's actually very true. And so until we could clean that up in ourselves, we shouldn't be worried about what other people say. We should be like, okay, you said that, that's fine. I still got work to do in here. But at the end of the day, white people or any other type of group, they're worrying about themselves, as they should. And so you might walk in the toy store and all you see is white Barbie dolls. Barbie, Mattel is a white company. Of course they're going to make white Barbie dolls. That's for them. Their only interest is themselves. And that's fine. I don't even think there's nothing wrong with that. But we shouldn't look to Mattel to make us feel beautiful. That's an awesome opportunity for us to fill that gap ourselves. And I think that we should reframe the way we think about it. Yes, there's been horrible things that has happened to us. Trust me, I know. I don't even know the full extent, but I know a little bit. But let's reframe the way we think about it. White people aren't against us, they're for themselves. And we should be too. And so, my beautiful browns, my only message is that when we stop getting caught up in the story of the struggle that we have to face in our victimhood, and we silence ourselves, we'll find our capability. And that's where our freedom is. It's not outside. We're not waiting for other people to become more tolerant. No. If people became more racist and more bigoted tomorrow, it shouldn't affect our inner harmony and our inner peace. And I want to leave you with, just so there's no misunderstanding, I believe ideally we will all come together as one. But until we heal our own wounds, we're not going to ever truly be able to care about another group. So I am a proponent for integration and we're all one and one love. It's just, I know the facts. So let's go and rock this thing. And thank you for watching.